It's March the 22nd, 2012. This is Five Way to Show about Worcester. Today on the show we have the man the Telegram and Gazette called Worcester's most traveled, most jailed, and most notorious political radical since Abbie Hoffman, Scott Schaeffer-Duffy. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
And Brendan Milliken.
How are you? Thanks for having me back. It's been a while.
Hey, it has been a while. And I am Michael Benedetti. And today on the show we're going to talk about running, we're going to talk about streets, we're going to talk about rectangular fields, we're probably going to talk about the Worcester Police. Scott, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great.
So you're on the show because we're going to talk to you not really, well, maybe about politics later. We're going to talk about running, though. You've been a passionate runner for like 3 years now?
Yeah, a little more than 3 years.
And I can't imagine anybody being more excited about running or doing more running than you've been doing these last 3 years.
Well, as Oscar Wilde says, nothing succeeds like excess.
There you go. What is your, and you're now like a race promoter?
I'm the race director for a race that the Worcester Educational Resources Development Foundation is putting on with the with Central Mass Striders, the Foley 5K.
Okay. What is this race?
It's a race, first one ever put on by the public schools. It's a 5K at Foley Stadium, starting and ending there on Chandler Street. And it was dreamed up because the budget for all 55 Worcester public schools, elementary, middle, and high schools for physical education equipment, playground equipment, is almost non-existent. And so the thought was, if we could find a good sponsor, and Good Works Insurance came forward with a pretty good chunk of money, seed money, to get it going as a main sponsor, and said, you know, we could build this into one of the major races in Worcester and add it into the calendar, and with the help of Central Mass Striders, to make it a professional race. Everybody on the committee but Jack Gulski, who's from Central Mass Striders, me, and Al Halper, who's the cross-country coach at Worcester State, everybody else is a non-runner. So it's kind of interesting.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We're talking different languages. They're talking about corporate sponsors and everything. We're talking about water stops and
elevation change.
Yeah, and what kind of shirt the runners like. Why a tech shirt is better than a cotton shirt.
Yes.
You know, cotton kills. We could get a really cheap cotton shirt. I says that would be the death of your race. You know,
I hate those.
And but anyway, it's become a good mix, and it's introduced me to some really interesting old school kind of Worcester people who have been really quite nice.
When's this race going to happen?
On May 6th.
Okay.
And it has one nice feature which we developed, is it's going to end in the stadium. It's going to go underneath the stadium. The South High Band is going to play Eye of the Tiger,
yeah,
Rocky, and the Olympic theme while people circle the track.
You're going to tell me that the city of Worcester may have actually figured out how to put on a show?
Well, it was a combination event. I mean, we talked about this and that, and then we thought about, wouldn't this be cooler? Wouldn't this be cooler? Now there's the idea of being kicked around. There's a new Worcester soccer team, Worcester Hydra. Some of them may run it. Some of them may be in their uniforms. And we're going to get some of them to combine with cheerleaders to make like a gauntlet that people go through when they're coming in. Very nice. You know, and it just is going to be a lot of fun.
So people should Google Foley 5K to find out.
Yeah, Foley 5K roadrace.com.
Oh, okay.
And it's all on there, how you sign in and everything. And this is
a fundraiser. So this costs a little bit of money to enter, and the money goes
students.
To
it's $15. Anyone else, it's $20. If you sign up late, it's $25.
Tell me about the shirt.
Well, the shirt has got we had an original design that nobody liked. It had these animals on it. We weren't sure what they were. Jack thought they were rats. Somebody thought they were road runners. And we said, what's the significance? We really didn't like it. So we kicked it around. And then Kathleen Finnegan really got a great design. It's a good design. It shows children and adults running in silhouette with Foley 5K. And that's been kind of nice. So
you're telling me people who are into running are going to want to do this?
The shirt will look nice. Yeah, the shirt's going to be nice. It's going to be a tech shirt, and we decided to have it as a green and a pretty bright color because the shirts from the Canal Diggers race last year, they were terrific. People wore them all winter because they were bright enough that you could wear them, night running and whatever, and they were really good synthetic shirts. And we said, hey, we want this to be that kind of shirt, a nice shirt. And so they're hoping to make it an annual race. It has one stiff hill. And but we've gotten some nice feedback, like the gym teachers. A number of the gym teachers in different schools say they're going to run.
Oh, hey, so this is kind of the gym teacher challenge.
Some of the teachers. I guess the Doherty cross country team, South, University Park.
Are you
North.
Are you coaching cross country?
I'm coaching. I coached last season. I'm going to coach this season at South. Yes.
So is there also a rivalry amongst the cross country coaches?
Some of the coaches, there's a really good kind of. I guess those of us that didn't have winning seasons are really unified and quite congenial.
Yes.
The ones that vied for the championship are a little bit more competitive. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, yes.
And, but I think it's a pretty good spirit as a rule of thumb. And some of us that have just begun, we'll be mixing it up as we go.
I want to see some school committee people running. I want to see, that's the challenge I want to see.
Well, you know, you do see, I mean, Dan Rushton is, one of the Rushtons is coach at Doherty, and his brother runs.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to see, did I see Tim Murray running? I'm not sure if I ever saw Tim Murray.
He used to do a lot of those 5Ks, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
When they used to do them up at, was it Castle? Yeah,
Yeah.
One of the parks that they used to run them out of down Main South.
Well, you know, every once in a while I hear somebody runs that surprises me. Like I heard the old president of Holy Cross used to run marathons.
Really?
Huh.
You know, I'm like, whoa, it just kind of surprises me. So you never know.
I want to ask you about marathons. We have a marathon, the first marathon in Worcester is coming up, right?
It is, and wow, it's going to be, apparently more people have signed up for it. That's the first Sunday in June.
Yes.
And we've had 2 half marathons.
Right.
And there's going to be a half marathon again with the marathon. And Scott Stevens of Central Mass Striders designed the course for the half marathon and for the marathon. And I biked it shortly after he designed it. And I had difficulty biking that course.
Where does it go?
Well, since then I've run most of the course,
Yeah.
and I've built up my miles because I'm building towards the Boston Marathon, so it's a little less daunting. But it's pretty hard. It goes, follows the half marathon course over Bancroft Tower Hill, down onto Salisbury Street, but then the half marathon will go left on Salisbury.
Okay.
And the marathon runners, because they're running together, will go right, and they'll go up to Indian Lake. And then they're going to go up and up and up into Holden. All the way to the T&G Tower. If anybody knows where that is, it's way up.
Yeah.
And then they got to go up and down some more hills to Main Street, Holden, and then back into Bailey Road. And Bailey Road has 4 or 5 good-sized hills.
Absolutely.
And down Olean Street, all the way back to Temple Emmanuel.
Oh, you're going to kill my commute.
And then back on to back down Chandler Street and following the half marathon course. By the time they get to Franklin Street, which is 3 miles from the end, that hill is going to be the heartbreak hill of that course. It'll be at about 22 miles, and people we'll see who's got anything left.
I know you're training to run the Boston Marathon in April. Are you going to run the Worcester Marathon?
Well, this is a big question. I've never run any marathon before, and I haven't signed up for the half or the whole because I'm hedging my bets. I'm waiting to see what it's like in Boston. I mean, they say you can recover in that much time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm just a little worried. There are a lot of 5Ks that I want to do all summer, and the marathons they've actually slowed my 5K times down a little.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I don't know, but it is the inaugural
You
one.
gotta try.
How many people are they expecting?
Well, I think they're expecting over 1,000
No kidding.
that will run it. And,
Mike, Mike knows this, but I'm morally opposed to running unless I'm being chased. But
Yeah.
but I live on Olean Street, and if you talk to the organizers at all, and they're looking for water stations, I'd be more than happy to offer up my front yard as a watering station on Olean.
We'll get to you. Believe me, that's the kind of thing. But you know, the Boston Marathon, which I've never run, I'm doing the rehearsal run for it Sunday, and about 10,000 people run this rehearsal run. It's 21 miles on the course. But the Boston Marathon, the whole course is lined with people.
Right.
And there are water stops all over the place. This marathon, I mean, even the half marathon, there were last year, maybe it's early in the morning, there are 300-400 people along the route. You know, But a marathon with 300, 400, 500 people, I mean, a lot of this is going to be solitary. You're going to be out in the woods on Olean Street and, past the reservoir. This is going to be pretty challenging, I think.
Yeah.
You won't have the crowd problem which you have in Boston. I'm number 23,800, by the way, in Boston. I can
Keep
turn
an eye out
around
for
and
it.
see the people in the back.
There's this whole strategy running Boston, right? About how do you deal with the fact that you're surrounded by people for the first however many miles.
Oh yeah. I mean, they say that a good walker can beat the clip for the first 2-3 miles easily. It's so incredibly crowded. Worcester won't have that problem. Worcester will, even if 2,000 people will thin out within half a mile. So that's great. Anybody that wants to run a marathon, great opportunity to run an inaugural one in a town like this. But it's not flat. You know, people should know they're not. You know, the Las Vegas Marathon, which is people run that one all the time because it's the one you can get a qualifying time on. It's the easiest one in the country. A friend of mine from Virginia flew there to fly it, to run it so that he could qualify.
Is this easier than the Bay State Marathon?
It's super easy.
That's the only marathon I ran in the Bay State. That was an easy, I mean, that was flat as
I think the Las Vegas one is
Iowa.
like 2 feet away from what they would qualify as too much of an elevation drop to qualify as a marathon. It's
Too
so
little of an
close,
elevation.
Well,
roll it.
it's downhill.
Oh!
But it can't be more than a certain amount. But it's technically more downhill than up.
So you could potentially like coast this marathon.
I don't know about coasting.
You can longboard it.
Well, we gotta talk about
Yeah.
politics because this show can't be interesting the whole show. Sunshine Week. We had this show. We had a whole show, whole shows about Sunshine Week, about working on government transparency in Worcester. Out of those conversations came 4 petitions that were put in front of the city council. One of the petitions, which was basically about that the state should take better steps as far as transparency, pass some legislation along those lines. The council just passed a resolution saying, sure. One of those things was for the city to have a policy about what is the deal with government records, which are social media, like Twitter updates and Facebook posts and things like that. What goes on as far as record keeping on those? Actually, a couple days after the meeting, the city put out a policy. I mean, it was a policy they'd been working on for a while. It wasn't like somebody was like, "Oh my goodness, somebody put a petition to the city council. Hurry, make a policy." Then there was a couple other ones. One was about video archiving, and one was about. I'm trying to blank. What was the fourth one about? The fourth one was about. Having a point person to deal with records requests.
An ombudsman.
An ombudsman.
Never good with that word.
So this all is going to go in front of the City Council Rules Committee, presumably in a few weeks, and so we will be probably putting in more feedback about the social media policy as well as pushing the 2 that didn't get any action on them. And this show will certainly let you know what's going on with that. Do you have any comments on this?
No.
All right.
Good work on the actual presentation, though.
There you go. Hey, it went well. We need lifeguards for the parks in Worcester. People should Google that and sign up to be a lifeguard for the park this summer. We had a bunch of people from this program involved with this program were on the front page of the Telegram and Gazette this week. Nicole Apostol was on the front page of the local section, like this sort of dramatic gesture, like shelving a book at this new free. Do you know this new free bookshop at Union Station? You know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then the other day there was a photo on the front page of Tracy Novick in some sort of nice yellow outfit, looking very angry, standing amongst boxes of meat.
A giant case of meat in her arms.
Is that because of the pink slime?
That's because of the pink slime. Yeah. She's an opponent of the pink slime.
Did you notice the thing that stood out in that story is the pink slime thing's been going around for a while. The price that we get for it's a 40-pound box of ground beef from the government. I think it's $2.77 is what we pay, not per pound, for the box is the way I read. It's like an insane price that we get for the discounted. Because I think the target is it's like $3 per meal that the federal government allocates. And the prices they get for subsidized food are just absolutely absurd.
They could feed a child $30 pounds of meat at that $3 a meal.
Well, I mean, I think they mix it up and it's gonna last. But it's
the odd thing to me, I'm a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for like 30-something years, and I worked in restaurants with prime rib and so on. I understand the big better cuts of meat or whatever, but it still mystifies me a little how people can get upset that there's different kinds of meat in their meat. They say if it's horse or it's dog in some cultures, or it's chicken instead of this or whatever, and it's like, it's meat.
Right.
You're still getting this. The pink slime is meat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's just not the meat. They wanted it to be meat.
Right.
So it's like if they were putting in sawdust, I could understand the up and arms, but it's still meat. You are carnivores.
Right out of the gate, they weren't grinding it because it was the highest quality cut that they had available.
Yeah. Post-consumer.
Yeah, they haven't gone to that point yet. There's a Parent Expo March 31st from 9 to noon at Tilton Hall at Clark. This is a thing where you can find out about activities and support services for your kids. So that's March 31st at Tilton Hall at Clark. You can go down as sort of a trade show thing, I guess. There's a bookmobile in Worcester now. We have anything to say about the bookmobile?
I haven't seen it up there.
Supposedly there's a bookmobile. I don't know. This is another thing which our friends who are involved with the library have been involved with. I think it's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
George Russell, City Councilor George Russell, honestly, in the offing to be my new Gary Rosen, my new heartthrob on the City Council. Also the only City Councilor with facial hair. George Russell has asked for the city to make the links to the city's checkbook, and also, I don't know whether it's to post this or just to make a link to it, the list of the wages that people earn. He wants this to be more prominent.
Sure.
Definitely a Sunshine Week initiative from Mr. Russell.
Because the only place you can easily find that data outside of the evergreen story that the Telegram or Worcester Magazine will run is going to the Herald archives. They used to keep up an open roster of public employees that included Worcester municipal employees, but it was poorly organized because it was broken down just by city. And I don't think they've updated it since 2000. The fiscal year for 2006, I think, is the last one they have. So there's a lot of both new hires, but people also have come off the rosters, and we've seen quite a few high-level contract renegotiations since then.
There you go. Well, and this weekend there is an anniversary party for Distant Castle. I'm going to be at a thing at Forbes Street that day, so I won't be able to go, but that is something people could go to. The Veg Fest is coming up. Have we talked about the Veg Fest in the show? We always talk about the Veg Fest so much. I always feel like we've already talked about it because we talked about it so much.
I haven't been on in a
previous
couple
year.
weeks, so
you don't even know.
I have no idea.
We haven't even had a show in a couple of weeks. April 15th, Worcester Technical High School. The stars of the show are going to be these people from Our Hen House, which is a blog, which is apparently a popular vegan blog, which I never read. T. Colin Campbell, famous from the China Study. Kathy Freston, famous from like advocating veganism on Oprah all the time. And Nathan Runkle, super effective activist from Mercy for Animals. This is like a stellar panel. Like there's basically, like I feel like Scott Jurek and Prince would be the only like more impressive vegans that you could get up there, in my opinion. Those are still the two that I would love to see up there. Anyway,
we'll get to them.
We'll get to them. The police actually did something which I thought was sort of interesting. They via Twitter they posted surveillance photos of somebody who robbed a handicapped guy outside of Holy Farms.
Yes.
I never saw them post surveillance photos on Twitter before.
They were pretty good photos too.
They were amazingly good photos. I'm surprised they haven't caught the guy. Like it's really clear. It's like
photo.
You know how clear it is? It's as clear as this image
clear.
right here.
Not me, but
easily
yes.
that good. Yeah. That was a weird story too. Like he robbed this guy, this handicapped guy, who had a wallet hanging around his neck. And there was nothing in the wallet. So, like, I don't know, maybe he just thought it was a good wallet. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. I don't know. This Juggalo story. We should probably talk about this Juggalo story.
Kind of have to. I mean, the Juggalos.
This is Spencer news, but it's honestly, I feel like I want to make this honorary Worcester news. Do you know about Juggalos? These are, you know the Insane Clown Posse?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
You're familiar with their work, sure.
Yes, right.
You live in Worcester. You know that occasionally at the Palladium, there's like this
Right.
massive group of children dressed as clowns,
Who are considered by the FBI to be gang-like.
gang
Not necessarily a gang, but gang-like.
a semi-organized crime,
Yeah.
a disorganized crime syndicate. There's a story out of Spencer. You're gonna have to correct me because I didn't write the notes for this because I sort of didn't think we were gonna talk about it, but I'm glad we are. Is a guy in Spencer. There's two people. Basically, one of them is like 20, one of them is like 16. But they're both 16 as far as I can tell from the story. And like
if not younger.
And like the 16-year-old gets drunk, and the 20-year-old tattoos the word Juggalo across.
Yeah, the way the story is written, it sounds kind of like the 20-something plied the teenager with alcohol to get him inebriated so he could tattoo him with both Juggalo across his chest.
The word Juggalo.
And then some acronyms. I think one was for Can't Kill Yourself, and there was another.
These are all Juggalo related things.
Actual tattoos.
Actual tattoos.
And
but probably misspelled it.
He misspelled the word Juggalo, which is first of all genius, and then
on so many levels.
And then he started demanding that the kid pay him money.
He was extorting him for the terrible tattoo.
So if I remember correctly, school officials became aware that one of their students was being harassed and threatened by this, again, like 20-year-old man and 16-year-old man in a 20-year-old's body.
The crack investigative work that allowed for charges to be filed were. Police noticed that the 20-something-year-old had similar tattoos and a house full of homemade, amateur tattoo gear and whatnot. But
anyway,
great story.
These guys are all honorarily Worcester residents, in my opinion. I can't believe this is happening in Spencer. I don't condone this behavior, but if it has to happen, I want it to happen in the city of Worcester. You could have driven a few miles, guys. Come on. We get a question for you, Scott.
Yes.
Submitted via Facebook. Which is, what do you think of the swamp thing?
Or the original Roger Moore?
Alan
Moore, or the Adrian Barbeau version of the movie.
I haven't seen. I
actually had the, I could say, misfortune / opportunity to see that Adrian Barbeau movie not terribly long ago. It's unbelievable. But I did like the graphic novel. In fact, that's one of the few that the Alan Moore.
Yes.
I read them all. In fact, my wife read them all, which is odd because she's never read them. She didn't read The Dark Knight, any of them, and we just thought it was great fun. We thought he was really good, creative, very interesting.
I'm right now. I'm being led in a sort of a informal I guess, informal educational program in the Swamp Thing, and I'm being coerced into reading them all in order. So I still have not gotten to the Alan Moore issues. So I'm sort of enjoying it, but I'm also sort of wondering, like,
yeah, they're very creative. They're very good. I mean, they're different from. I mean, you read books now. They're. I mean, good grief! People used to complain when I was a kid that Barbie was anatomically incorrect. She would fall over and everything. There are characters in the comics now. Whoa! Both the men and the women. Impossible. Impossible. I could be in the gym 500 million years and I would never look like that. And so it's a little more subdued.
Yes.
Sure. in a certain sense, but the story is very creative.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading the Alan Moore ones. Anyway, I thought that was I thought it was a funny question because you're having been a Swamp Thing fan. Oh, what we got to talk about is we got to talk about this stuff with the chief a little bit. We don't have to talk about it too much. I don't understand what it is. The police chief of Worcester, who has been, many people have liked down through the years, and many people have had problems down through the years. Suddenly, it just seems like there is this. Not firestorm, but there's like actual rumblings of discontent with the chief.
Yes. That
we've had Jim Kirsten wrote a letter to the Telegram, and he posted this online also, the longer version of this. And there's been like all this stuff about the chief, like feuding personally. The police have been feuding with the Telegram and Gazette for a while, like feuding personally with the Telegram via Twitter. I have to wonder if it's the Twitter thing that's the straw that broke the camel's back. There's also this thing of them like was this the thing of them coercing a murder plea out of a murder confession out of a teenager
in the fall.
Yeah, and I think sort of the poor handling of this. I mean, it seems like there's like stuff goes wrong in the police, and the criticism seems to be that the police are just not dealing with the stuff that goes wrong in a reasonable way, and then they're complaining about it on Twitter. All
I know is that the byproduct of all this seems to be some of the best Twitter novelty accounts that the city of Worcester has ever seen. And I'm not speaking of the chief's actual account, but there are some novelty accounts that seem to be circulating around the chief's actual account that are providing some of the best comic relief an office dweller could possibly come across during the normal course of normal business hours.
Bizarro Luke's has been the great one, which is the sort of fond tribute / parody of Connie Luke's.
And as unpossible as it may seem, we now have a not Chief Gem or not Chief 911, whatever it is, Twitter account, which is equally just incredible. It's just well written stuff.
It is good. I don't know how I would feel if somebody had a parody Twitter account of me. I'm glad I'm not.
I will go home and create one tonight just to see how it plays.
But I have to say that these are at least I don't know. There's definitely poking fun at these figures, but there's also a certain affection for them. At least Connie Luke has a great deal of affection for Connie.
Well, absolutely.
Irascible.
I mean, if these folks did not exist, these otherwise unknown comedians would have no subject to focus on.
Well, anyway, God bless them all.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
We had to talk about this thing with the chief. I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing is like the chief's contract. He's basically unfireable, and so it's not like. I don't exactly. I mean, besides the city council calling for his resignation and then him not resigning,
it is an interesting contract. If anyone has not had the opportunity to see it, I mean, the language is pretty clear that the actions that the city could take against the chief, and not saying that they're trying to or that he's done anything, that would ever would bring them to this point, but it's really all that can be done is demoting him to his previous civil service rank of captain
at full pay.
Yeah, essentially.
This is one of these things which reminds me of like...
It's not great contract negotiation. Now, that's a great contract for the chief, but as someone who likes to think that the city of Worcester is doing an excellent job of representing me, I would have to say on my behalf that that's a really terrible contract.
You could have maybe driven a harder bargain than we can never fire you.
I haven't bought that many cars in my lifetime, but I like to think I made off better than the city of Worcester as a whole did with that particular contract.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm interested to know what... I haven't seen what... Well, I guess Jim Kirsten called for the chief to resign, which is something that could happen. Sure. But it kind of reminds me of I saw this sort of asinine online poll which said, should the city council investigate, I think it was Pat's towing maybe? Or something. It was just, should the city council investigate something? And people were saying yes or no. And there wasn't a question which is, the city council can't investigate it. They can go to the library and research. Right there.
This isn't Congress that they have a department that's out there doing their research for them or whatnot. We typically call that the district attorney's office that does those criminal investigations on our behalf, and they seem to be doing a fine job of it. Yeah, that's one of those places that not to get too deep onto Pat's, but Councilor Rushton I think did a fine job of articulating that trying to cut that contract loose would cost us more actual capital than we could possibly gain in terms of moral high ground. The two, just if you balance them against one another, it's one of those.
Thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those unfortunate circumstances that will play itself out as a matter of law, and will probably resolve itself the way most folks want, naturally, through contracts expiring and the legal system having its way.
There you go, Scott.
What else?
Scott, you got anything else? Hi.
No.
Hey, Scott. Oh, I promised I would do this. Hey, Scott.
A little bit of Bruce
Scott.
Russellism, just a tip of the hat to Bruce.
Hey, Scott.
Who is not a runner, by the way.
No, he's against running also.
But I like how you mentioned Scott Jurek, a very famous runner, as one of your vegan vegan references.
One of the great American ultra runners.
Yes, you had to give a little reference there. Well, I appreciate you especially giving a plug for that Foley 5K, because it's a decent cause and a nice race, and it's sandwiched between a lot of other races that are more established and really popular, like the J Lions, which is a good race, the firefighters race, another great race. In fact, 3 years ago when I first started running in Worcester, some of these races weren't being held, and I had to go to races in other towns. I said, gee, big city like Worcester, why aren't there races in Worcester all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's the Celtic 5K, now the Firefighters is back as a yearly event, and Canal Diggers. And
This one sounds like a great time, too.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the band. I mean, that's...
Oh yeah, it has a lot of potential, and we'll of course work some bugs out on it in the first year. But the only thing a school race can't have, which some runners always grumble about, is you obviously can't have beer.
Sure.
Which although it always struck me very funny when I first started running, as I was trying to lose weight. You go out, you run a 5K, you get to the end, and there's pizza and beer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like you take one step forward, 2 steps back. But anyway, this one's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it'll be a real positive thing for the city and for kids. Plus, with all the concern about obesity, you need positive things that people will get into voluntarily, and and it's nice for the kids to be in an event that they're going to see parents and teachers and other people out there doing too. Kids that are in sports, they compete against each other, but they don't necessarily see the different age groups. So that's also going to be kind of cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm not going to be able to run the marathon because I'm not going to be able to get it trained in time for the Worcester Marathon. But I'm going to do this Foley race, even if I'm terrible.
You won't be terrible.
I'm looking forward to the band. Brendan?
I did nothing.
Thanks
But seriously, I want to know if I can be of assistance in terms of setting up shop on Olean Street for that marathon.
Believe me, CMS will get you.
If not, I'm just going to put together a party and just, we'll
right on the lawn. Right on the lawn, yeah. I can just see it. That's a good strip there, right down
beautiful.
Olean's. Yeah. People will be in heaven when they get there, because they're almost on all the hills, and it's slight downhill there. And
if they're just not feeling it, they can quit pulling, and the beer starts early.
Put a red cross right outside your house. Cross, red crescent, whatever.
I want to see somebody for Style Points swim across Cook's Pond as part of the marathon.
We'll make it a biathlon.
A biathlon.
A little rogue biathlon.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Scott Schaeffer-Duffy, Brendan Malikan, I'm Mike Benedetti. This is 508. You can email us at pieandcoffee@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and we will talk to you next week. Have a great time in Worcester.